Hello everyone and welcome back. Got a lot of stuff for you guys this week, but before we get into any of that, I wanted to show you guys something really cool that I've been working on for months that I'm really excited about, and I hope you guys share my enthusiasm. That just so happens to be the thing I'm currently wearing, which is this lovely Hall & Brown hoodie. Of course, Hall & Brown being the company of the guy who built my house, that being Mr. Charles S. Brown. The hoodie is based on the 1892 catalog. It's something that we have a copy of, and actually all the machines inside the hood are from that 1892 catalog. So the hoodie is a representation of that book. So something that ties directly to the history of my home and to the company and to really Mr. Brown himself. And of course, the idea to use Hall & Brown on a hoodie at all, I think makes it serendipitous. I mean, we're using the original owner's brand to fix his house. And so I think there's something extremely, beautiful about that, poetic almost. It's a quality product, and I'm happy, and I would really like to think that Mr. Brown would be happy that his name is on something that is actually a really cool piece. So the plan is, for whatever amount of money we end up raising selling these hoodies, will directly go to the repair of the Mansard roof, which, as some of you may know, is a very, very expensive endeavor. So this is a way you guys can directly contribute to helping this old girl get her crown back beautiful and brilliant. A link will be down in the description, guys, if you guys want to grab yourself one of these beautiful things. If you do, we appreciate it. We thank you guys so much. It does go a long way to helping us achieve a facelift for the old girl. So thank you guys so much for listening to my silly little spiel about my lovely, lovely new hoodies that I'm quite excited about. And so now let's get back to your regular scheduled programming. Hello everybody and welcome back. I hope your guys' week was swell. Mine was a little less than so, not because of anything that happened with the house or anything, but I will get into the rough week I had towards the end of this video. So I'm gonna try to keep my, my voice up for you guys and be positive as I can for this video. A lot of really awesome things happen with this house, specifically obviously with the bathroom, as the thumbnail would provide and show you. So let's get into some of the time lapses, and then I'll get to the bathroom and show you guys the wonderful, wonderful things we have going on in there. So let's do that. Well, it's tilted slightly on one side, but for all intents and purpose, it's up there. However, that will be tomorrow's problem. I had a neighborhood meeting tonight that took up a great deal of time. There's a lot of things you guys don't quite know about that I do a lot for my neighborhood, that I do behind the scenes that take up a lot of my time, including the planning of the tour and all that stuff. We've had weekly meetings for that, and And now stuff with some of the surrounding neighborhoods as well. Yeah, trying to make my neighborhood a better place, so that takes time too. Can you guys believe it? We have a toilet. And not only is it a good looking toilet, it is also a functioning toilet. You guys might remember this flush. Steven sent it in. Thanks again, Steven. It looks absolutely wonderful. And if we pull the handle, we have a flush. And the toilet itself is looking absolutely beautiful. It has the right aesthetic. It's not quite 1890, it's probably around 1900 to 1910. So not exactly Victorian, but then again, I've explained, I think in the past, that Victorian toilets themselves are very, very expensive and nothing about them is standard. This one was already kind of a mess to try to get things to fit it, but we did eventually get there. The toilet seat's looking wonderful. Of course, again, this is another 100-year-old item. Back to perfect use. It works beautifully. I'm actually quite impressed in how, well, the parts were kind of tricky to get together, but once you got them together, it worked. It just worked. We have the pipe connector here with the rubber stop. That's what allows the toilet seat not to bang into that pipe. So it's actually held to the wall here. I do have to put the screws in there still, but this is screwed too so it won't push further through the wall. And then I have a bunch of washers and a piece of wood on the other side and it's bolted to it. So this is actually now pretty structurally sound. So it's a pretty tough little piece that. So happy that's there. It, well, it stops the abuse of this pipe really. The tank itself did take a wee bit of a beating right there and a little bit here as I was trying to tighten this up. Basically how this is working is there's a plastic box inside of this box that is essentially a normal tank. But then of course on the outside it looks like a much older tank. But the company that manufactured this had plastic threaded components for the tank, and those did not mesh very well with the metal components that they also sent. We got some cross threading and it wasn't sealing very well and it wouldn't tighten down very well. So I had to go fish around to some of the local old school plumbing stores in town and was able to find brass outlets for both of the fill mechanism, which obviously this is the water line up and in, and this is the flush pipe here. So I was able to find brass components for both of those. So this system here should last much, much longer now because of that. So quite happy with it. And you might notice this little odd piece of pipe here. That's actually a, well, band-aid, if you will, to combine these two pieces of pipes. These are both from two different kits that I have or had. And then that was to extend this pipe long enough up to get to the tank. Because we're talking almost, I would say, 7-ish feet in the air. I mean, I can back up and it's really hard to shoot because then the door gets in the way. But you can see it's quite tall. And yes, for any of those who are interested for environmental reasons, it is only, I think, a 1.4 gallon flush. It isn't anything excessive or crazy as far as that's concerned. It's fairly standard. and that's just because of the tank and the mechanism up top works about that same system. So while the flush is very loud because there's a lot of pressure as it's coming down, it's not actually pushing more water than a normal toilet. So essentially we're not, you know, wasting a massive amount of water, or at least not wasting any more water than anybody else is in the States. So for anybody who is concerned about that a little bit. It's just so exciting. I mean, you know, who knew that something like this could excite a person so very much. But it's so exciting. And it's made such a massive change in Kim and mine's life. Like, having a working toilet, I mean, we've got a piece of our home together, and we're quite excited about it. I did also get the door back on and the handle on the door. And when we close the door, we also have, of course, the regular knob down there, but we also have this little extra lock, which does need a little bit of greasing to make that a little bit easier. But this is your actual lock for the bathroom. So this was actually on here when we got the door. Of course, that's back when it was painted blue in an absolute mess. Yeah, I was able to salvage this. And I think if you guys remember previously, that's actually what this patch was, because the door used to swing out, and so the lock was on this side. Since I've changed it around, I had to patch that in. So for those who wanted to know, that's actually what that patch is for. And I think it came out looking really brilliant. And now if you look over here at the mirror in the sink, there's something a little bit different about this area. And I'm sure we can all realize what that is. It's these wonderful, wonderful crystals. Kim did just get these up, and they are absolutely beautiful. They're also antique. We got them from a local place in town, and they match the ones that go on the chandelier in the entryway. So it brings, you know, the entryway part of the house back here as well. Now, of course, I didn't want to hang these things in here when I was doing a lot of work in here, because A, they're really tough to clean, and if you bump and break them, well, it's not great. They're not cheap and they're not easy to find. So, but I think these are looking absolutely beautiful. Just really kind of complement the room, the sunflowers and the shades. I just love the whole look of that. And last but not least, we have this absolutely gorgeous medicine cabinet that you guys might remember. I was trying to originally put here, but didn't end up working out space-wise. It just would have been, I don't know, odd, and the lamps would have been bumping it, and I didn't want those fixtures to be bumping into this all the time.
So I've moved it over here into the corner, and it actually fits basically perfectly. You don't feel too crowded when you're near the sink or anything like that. There's plenty of room here, and it just fits. And we're going to use it, of course, for now to hold our toothbrushes and stuff. But we had our good metal detecting buddy out, Phil. We'll be seeing more of him, hopefully in next week's episode. But he had found this bottle in the yard previously, and this week he found this little beauty. And this is going to be probably extremely hard to read on camera. But it says Bromo Seltzer, Emerson Drug Co., Baltimore, Maryland. So essentially I did actually look up this company. It seems like this specific bottle is from around 1900. And the product was basically an aspirin mixed with an antacid. So it would take your headache away, and it would also fix your stomach a little bit. So nothing toxic was ever in this bottle, at least in its original. What was it originally? It wasn't toxic. You could technically drink it today and you wouldn't have any ill side effects. But, you know, I was actually joking around. I'm like, maybe we should just use this as an aspirin bottle. And actually, I think that's exactly what we're going to do, is put either ibuprofen or aspirin in here, find a cork for it. Obviously clean it out. I don't have it perfectly clean yet. I need to get an old toothbrush or something to give it a really good once over. And this was actually found on the lot next door to my house. So who knows, 1900, it could have easily belonged to Mr. Hall, which is of course the business partner to Mr. Brown, so maybe it's his. But I think it's really cool, and Phil strikes again. He's still pulling really, really amazing things out of my yard, and I mean, there's not a crack in this bottle. It's beautiful, and I love the color, and it's got a cool story. So maybe if you guys have, I don't know, a couple of old bottles you don't want anymore that didn't have anything really nasty and, you know, toxic in them. Yeah, if you guys would maybe want to donate something like that, we think we'd happily accept that. I think it'd be cool to have all of our medicines and stuff and in various old bottles like this. That way it just completes the look. You know, I think that looks much better than something that says Crest really big on it with really bright, bold colors. If it's an old Crest toothpaste box or something, that might look better. And lastly, I got this pretty little towel rack down here. The towel rack itself is a brass one. A guy by the name of Edward sent that in, so thank you, Edward, so much. It definitely looks beautiful in here, and I'm glad when I could find homes for these beautiful items you guys send me. And I think, you know, be able to connect, you know, more stories to this house from more amazing people who donated their items to, you know, be part of this. So it's really exciting. So thank you. And then the towel itself actually is contemporary to the era. This is actually what towels look like in the 1890s. I've seen catalogs with these towels in it, and this is one I got from Etsy. So it is actually that old. It's just one that has been used very lightly. Now I don't know if we'll have towels like this in here all the time. I can't imagine if you know, end up getting these things stained up quite a bit. It might not be the nicest thing in the world, but I think if it's just people drying off their hands and not like, I don't know, rubbing mustard stains or something into it. Maybe we won't have it in here all the time, but I think it looks beautiful in conjunction with just everything, and you know, that it brings out the red in the floor and brings it up, and yeah, it's just beautiful. It looks really great. So that's 90% of this room complete. It's in a working state. It's absolutely gorgeous. It really is allowing me to see what this house will all look like complete. And it's definitely a huge motivating factor to get more things done in the future. Now, of course, like with everything, is the huge learning curve of trying to work with antique items and make them function in a modern world, and that is rather difficult. And you know, as I've stated with the sink and the toilet and everything, it's, you know, to use a modeling term, it's kit bashing to get all these things together to make them all fit and work and operate as they should, as they would have. And I think I've done a pretty good job with it. I mean, I've never had to install a high tank toilet, especially one that is literally 3 separate kits of things that had to come together. mixed with a bunch of other random stuff I had to go get from plumbing supply stores. And then of course the toilet, which, the bowl itself, which is 100 years old. They all work beautifully. I married them together, I think, quite well. So in that respect this week, I'm quite happy with how everything came out. But as I stated at the beginning of the video, this week has been really rough on me. So earlier this week, on Thursday, my father had taken one of his dogs over to the vet, and he got the report back that she had cancer. Basically, they gave him the option of, you can do she'll live for a year if you do chemo, but her quality of life will be shot. The cancer had already spread to her liver and to her pancreas and to all of her lymph nodes, and she was really not doing well. She was having trouble breathing, and she's 6 years old, and she was a very sweet, very loving dog, but we had to go in and make the decision, the worst decision you can make, especially for such a young animal, to go and put her down. And of course, I didn't want my father to be alone on this, so I went with him. And, it's the worst, because you try to rationalize these things like, it'd be better if she's not suffering, everything like that. But for the same, selfish reasons, many of us do many things. You want to find that solution. You want to be the problem solver. I mean, that's what I do all day here, is problem solve. And this is one I could not fix. And, you talk to the doctor, the vet, by the way, is amazing, absolutely amazing. But she told us basically it's the right thing to do. She's not going to have a quality life. She'll maybe last another year. But it's just an animal I really cared about. Like, you see how Kim and I are with our dogs. We love our animals here. And, if we're doing history beat here, so did the previous owners of this home. Mr. Brown had a dog. He's in the photo out front with him in 1896. And the second owner was a veterinarian. Maybe that's if there is ghosts here. Maybe that's why they like me and leave me alone. Because I'm a big softy when it comes to animals. But she came into the room and, licked my hand. I hadn't seen her in about a month. She was real excited to see me, and it's just hard, guys. It's not an easy thing to do, and I know there are worse things going on in the world, and of course I acknowledge that. And of course I try not to bring them into this channel because I want to be a positive influence for you guys. So not everything has to be doom and gloom, but for me this week things were kind of tough. Of course, not everything, things are positive too, and I definitely think about that, and I am lucky in life. I'm lucky to to be here today, and I guess the moral of the story is cancer sucks, guys. Sometimes it's just not an easy week. And I've done a decent amount of crying this week, and it's just been not fun. I know my dad has too. Your pets become so ingrained in your life, your routine, everything is dictated to that. Give a hug to your fur babies for me, or to your real babies, or to just somebody. It's been helpful to me, so.
Hey, sweetheart. Aspen, come here. Come on.
On a better note, I do hope you guys all had a fantastic week, a much better one than mine, and I do hope you guys have a fantastic week this week. I do thank you guys again for everything you've given me and Kim. A lot of this is possible because of you guys, and we're excited to be living our lives here now, and in no small part that's thanks to you guys. So from the bottom of our hearts, we really, really, really do thank you guys. I know I say it every time, but I really do mean it. So please take care of yourselves, take care of the people in your lives, the animals in your lives, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. Goodbye.